The views expressed in this show do not necessarily reflect those of the Armenian Council for Truth in Journalism or any other TMI affiliate.
Do any of you have any experience playing ball?
Have you read Amusing Ourselves to Death by Neil Postman?
No.
From 1982?
No.
He had this great opening. It says, we were all looking out for, 1984. When the year came and the prophecy didn't, thoughtful Americans sang softly in praise of themselves. The roots of liberal democracy had held. Wherever else the terror had happened, we at least had not been visited by Orwellian nightmares. But we had forgotten that alongside Orwell's dark vision, there was another, slightly older, slightly less well-known, equally chilling vision of Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. Contrary to common belief, even among the educated, Huxley and Orwell did not prophesy the same thing. Orwell warns that we will become overcome by an externally imposed oppression. But in Huxley's vision, no big brother is required to deprive people of their autonomy, maturity, or history. As he saw it, people will come to love their oppression, to adore the technologies that undo their capacities to think. What Orwell feared were those who would ban books. What Huxley feared was that there would be no reason to ban a book, for there would be no one who wanted to read one. Orwell feared those who would deprive us of information. Huxley feared those who would give us so much that we would be reduced to passivity and egoism. Orwell feared the truth would be concealed from us. Huxley feared the truth would be drowned in a sea of irrelevance. Orwell feared we would become a captive culture, but Huxley feared we would become a trivial culture. As Huxley remarked in Brave New World Revisited, the civil libertarians and rationalists who are ever on the alert to oppose tyranny failed to take into account man's almost infinite appetite for distractions. Lastly, in 1984, Orwell added, people are controlled by inflicting pain. In Brave New World, they are controlled by inflicting pleasure. In short, Orwell feared that what we fear will ruin us. Huxley feared that what we desire will ruin us.
The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are. And the ride goes up and down and round and round. It has thrills and chills, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real, or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us, and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride. And we kill those people. Shut him up. We have a lot invested in this ride. Shut him up. It's just a ride. But we always kill those good guys who try and tell us that. You ever notice that? And let the demons run amok? But it doesn't matter because it's just a ride. And we can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money. A choice right now between fear and love. The eyes of fear want you to put bigger locks on your door, buy guns, close yourself off. The eyes of love instead see all of us as one. Here's what we can do to change the world right now to a better ride. Take all that money we spend on weapons and defense each year and instead spend it feeding, clothing, and educating the poor of the world, which it would many times over, not one human being excluded, and we can explore space together, both inner and outer, forever.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to the D program. I'm Lou Starsky. Thank you for spending some time with us. It's December 6th, 2020, and we are on day 252, I believe, of the 2-week lockdown to flatten the curve. Got a great show tonight. We're going to be talking about some historical events. We're going to be talking to some of the council members, and we're going to be getting into the election a little bit. But stick around to the end. I got a new track from Yamin. He was a previous guest about 7 shows back, maybe more. Today kind of started off a little funky. We probably won't have the same comments or anything like that because Facebook has blocked me from being able to share, and also had a little 2-hour technical glitch with my computer, but everything seems to be back up and running. But before we get started with the show today, because I wanted to kind of, once I get into it, I just kind of wanted to be there. I wanted to talk about our sponsor, the Flickwick. And that's shop.flickwick.com, and apply the code LSPB or ACTJ for 20% off. And they make great Christmas presents and Christmas gifts. They're not too expensive, and very versatile. And I got a little treat for y'all. This gentleman on my right, I don't know if it's right on y'all's, but on my right, that is Jack, the guy who sponsors the show, and the guy who literally created and patented the Flickwick. And that to his left is a gentleman, some stranger, I don't know. I think he likes to smoke pot. But anyways, I thought I would throw that up there. And now let's get down to the brass tacks of it all. So actually, let me take this guy off. And there we go. And yeah, so I wanted to discuss something real quick about the U.S. elections. There's a lot of people that are 30 and under that are experiencing the U.S. election or paying attention to it for the first time, or there's a lot of young people in the streets that are kind of at that age where they're starting to notice hey, the election actually is important. And your first one, you're always optimistic. I remember my first elections and switch over from one administration to the other, and it's always an optimistic time. And then after you see one or two go down, you actually it seems to just where people just can't deal with it anymore, and they just shut it off and they just go to work and raise their kids and try not to pay attention to it. And that's pretty much what it is. And then old people that have stuff invested, they also vote. But a lot of people only experience the one or two administrations, and they still are falling for the illusion that there are two distinct parties trying to compete for your attention and for your favor. And that is just not the case. It's an illusion. There's only one party, and it's the party of, let's see something real quick. All right. Yep. And that is our guest here texting me. But anyways, there is only one party, and that party is the International Banking / Corporate Party. And that is it. We're represented by those people, and they wear masks and they wear costumes and they perform theater for us on TV. And the Mockingbird TV just gives it to us just how it's supposed to. So it's all an illusion. And a lot of that, like I said, is not known at the beginning because you're just optimistic and you think that, hey, this side actually has my best interest or that side has my best interest, and you fall for the illusion. And as you get older, you become disillusioned and you just give up. If I go back to when it was my first time, it was around 1998. We had a seemingly decent administration at hand, the Clinton one. Later to find out it's all bullshit. And that first election for me was the 2000 election, which was, if you remember, it was Bush versus Gore. Gore was the vice president of Clinton, so it just seemed like a no-brainer that Gore would be the president. I mean, you had this guy, George Bush. We just kicked his dad out not too long ago. Why would we want this guy? He's dumber than his dad. And then I just remember the victory happening under shadiness. And I had just gotten into kind of, looking at the world differently. And so I started looking into the elections a little bit. And that's when I realized that it's all a fucking sham. And it just snowballed from there. And the fact that Diebold was the contractor to create the voting machines was a slap in my face. It was just like, wait a minute, banks are literally the world's enemies, and now you're going to allow them to make our voting machines with no back end to check or verify, or no independent counsel. Just this is corporate proprietorship. It just seemed nuts to me, and it just got worse. And then 2004 happened, and you had John Kerry. And it just seemed like it was out of control. I couldn't understand how he kept on electing George W. Bush, or kept the illusion was quickly fading. And decades later, I find out, you look back and you say, okay, Al Gore, was in a position to literally stop the madness that happened in 2000. And instead, he went along with it, normalized it, and then was given a good, cushy globalist position as the spokesperson for climate change. Then you have John Kerry, and let me go to this clip real quick. Then you have, actually no, I'll wait on that. Then you have John Kerry, who also is now in a big position, coming in as Biden's in Biden's administration, and he's already talking about the Great Reset and how accelerated it's going to be, and we'll get into that a little bit. I have some clips or just a little news article I wanted to show you on that. And so these two guys that had led so many Democrats into the slaughter, basically, of the military-industrial complex as it wanted to ramp up for war, they just led us there and then just didn't do anything afterwards. These guys are all on the same team. And what team is that? It's definitely not our team.
Open Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
on.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322.
First of all, he's not the nominee, and look, I look for.
Are you prepared to lose?
No, I'm not going to lose.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, a secret number?
There are all kinds of secrets, Tim, but one thing is not a secret. I disagree with this president's direction that he's taking the country. We can do a better job, and I intend to do it.
And we'll be watching. Be safe on the campaign trail. John Kerry, thanks for joining us. And we'll be right back.
And this is what John Kerry had to say this week when asked by a panel host at the World Economic Forum. He said, "Are we expecting too much too soon from the new president? Or is he going to deliver the first day on this topic of the Great Reset?" And Kerry responded, "The answer to your question is no. You're not expecting too much. And yes, the Great Reset will happen," Kerry continued. And it goes on in this article, which is on The Hill, by the way, a pretty reputable outfit. And anyways, it goes on to say where Kerry's just so into this Great Reset movement. And now you realize, if you take into account what he did in 2004, which was to set up to lose to George Bush so that administration can continue to pillage what it is to be America. So now we have these two instrumental guys, Al Gore and Kerry, are now these huge globalists. And if you don't understand that it is just an illusion and these guys are playing you, then you have to continue to go back and try to understand recent history. It's all right there. And what's crazy is Tim Russert died shortly after that year and that election. And, kind of mysterious, but, whatever. I feel that during the Obama administration, there was a direct war on the media and a direct war on journalism. I mean, we can go on and on and on about Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, the guy who changed into a female. I forget his name right now, but that person was jailed. There were so many whistleblowers that were jailed. It was under Obama's watch that this was going on. So, and before we go too far away from the elections, there was the curious case down in Georgia. And it reminded me of the whole Obama era tactics. And that was with Representative Lafleur's staffer aide. And I'm going to go to this clip. It doesn't have any audio, but I'm just going to let you look at this accident. This was on a small highway in Georgia. They said 3 cars were involved. Everyone else survived except the staffer. And if you look at this car explosion, without a fuel tanker, without a big truck, this is the explosion. This is what you saw driving on that street. And this is just a raw video of it. And to me, it brought back so many memories of somebody who we're going to talk to. It's going to be the main topic today. And that's a gentleman named Micheal Hastings. But before we get into that, we're going to keep it here in Georgia, and we're going to bring in our guest today, Mr.
Sorry, I was all like nose into it.
Oh, no. That's all right. Mr. Sean?
I hadn't seen that video prior.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty crazy. You were just in Georgia.
Yeah.
Was there anything that what were your thoughts about the whole people getting together trying to protest the election? Like, what's your big takeaway from your trips that you're making?
Yeah, there's a lot of angry people.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of angry people. I mean, it's interesting when we're looking at that, the aide that had the accident.
We'll go with that.
I mean, like when I think about it, there's a lot of people that might have motivation to send them packing, to send a message or whatever.
Yeah, it could have just been as simple as that. It could have been a threat almost.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what kind of car accidents I've seen that look like that. I'd have to see more of the details, but it did look a little bit interesting. As far as Georgia itself, I say there's a lot of angry people, but there's a lot of people that just don't want to lose what little freedom they have. The joke always comes back to people when you have these engagements with them, and they say things like, "Oh, you think America was free or whatever." And it's not really about that. It's about a certain progression. There's people down there that don't want to take steps backwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, that fire crackling got me a little distracted. I was got all warmed up there.
It's okay. I had everything set up, and then the cats jumped on the cat tree that I've got my phone sitting on.
Nice. To me, it's you and I talk a lot behind the scenes, and you tolerate my extreme positions on things, and something that you're breaking me down to is that. Yes, this movement is using a cult of personality, as what they're rallying behind, but the people are not being led by the person. And he's actually almost.
Well, I think it depends on who you talk to. I think there's definitely TDS on both sides of the political equation.
Okay.
I'm sure there's plenty of people that I've spoken to that I thought were maybe less than sane.
Right,
but that's both sides of it.
I
think that the main push and the reason for a lot of the demonstrations that you're seeing from the so-called right is what I just broke down. They just don't want to lose any more freedom. They're tired of it.
Right, and I applaud that, and I think as long as the message allows for more people to enter I love it when I love the fact that there are a lot of African American Trump supporters that are out in the streets with the supposed racist.
Yeah.
I think that's just beautiful, and I also love the fact that what I want to see more of is just more people jumping onto one cart so that we can really form something that we can crash into this building and this thing, because this thing has thrown us overboard so long ago, and it's like an abusive wife or an abusive husband, I should say. That somehow talks that person back into being with them over and over with the same outcome.
Yeah, I think we're done with that. I mean, I'm done with that.
Yeah, we're packing our shit up, and we have no escape plan. So now we're looking at each other, going, "Wait, there's no fire."
I mean, look, people that were paying attention, I think, have put a certain amount of preparation in this year as we've watched this whole thing unfold. I think if you're not prepared for, food shortages and kind of the things that we almost expect the power structure to do to us in this situation.
Because this is the solution. This is what they've been. This is what everybody. This is the big conspiracy outcome.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I still am getting ridiculed. People still.
I don't know. But it's past that, Lou. That's what I tell you all the time. Who cares?
Yeah, I know.
Who cares?
I get it.
The thing is that people who don't want to accept things, or they don't want to think critically, they don't want to dig into the details. And it sounds like the meme, and I get it, but do your own research. And you don't have to be a Q follower. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. It's all open source. People can go look at it. People can find out what it's about.
Right.
It's really not up for a debate, quite frankly. So it's like when people want to debate me, I'm just kind of over it. I'm turning into a pissy old man, Lou, and I'm sitting by my fire.
No, I hear you. And to add some to add a different voice to the conversation, we're going to bring in producer Dad. Mr. Thaddeus.
Is he dead yet?
No, but he is protecting his software and his computer hardware from the COVID-19.
Yeah, I'm protecting everybody from the COVID. So
this is some cyber security right here.
COVID is real, fam.
So is the mask.
It's so annoying though. It's not even serious. It's just annoying.
It's annoying. It's like a really bad flu.
Yeah, God, it's so annoying. And when our energy finally comes back, I don't know. I'm going to go probably formally and get tested and stuff like that. I'm going to demand antibody.
I'm
going to demand antibody tests and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, no. This is a scientific endeavor. Remember, I do biohacks all the time. All right.
Well, seems like it. It seems like
we appreciate you being the guinea pig.
Yeah. Hopefully, they don't give me anything while I'm asking them to
He's gonna get nothing
stuff something up my brain and
nanobots. Next thing you know,
no, man, it's
I should
it's
write
funny,
a
right?
story about how they shove fecal matter into people's brains. Anyways, remind me to do that.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it looks like maybe the COVIDs did make your chin gray.
It's always been gray.
Is that verified? Oh, okay, always been.
That's beautiful, though.
It's always been like that, man. I'm old. And it doesn't help that I have had my grandkids here for the past 3 days, as well as fighting this and trying not to murder them.
Yeah,
they really do. I love them to death, but they really do.
Well, that brings up
you can send them out like little bioweapons into the world, though.
That's literally what they are, little vectors for whatever. I suspect. Asymptomatic little bastards.
I got a question for y'all too. Okay, because y'all have families and whatnot. Like, do you want them to understand the world the way you understand it, or is this something that's a critical enough issue where you're talking to them about it, or you're just trying to talk about stuff that's on TV, or just avoid the conversation altogether?
I've been telling my daughters this since they've been old enough to sit down and listen to Dad drunkenly rant about this day. This day, we discuss this all the time. My oldest daughter, who now works in the real world, she's cynical as fuck, and I'm proud of this.
Excellent.
Because it'll keep her safe. It'll lower her expectations about what the world is and what it ultimately will come out to. I've always, though, given the twist of optimism, right?
Mm-hmm.
After darkness comes light. and so darkness is here.
Well,
and it's going to get a little darker.
Well, that's how I'll describe tonight's show because I don't know. My computer just shut down. Everything shut down.
You don't need it. You don't need it anymore.
It started. So that was a really dark time. I felt really dark then, and now
it's like dark winter was upon us, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're a dark winter.
Well, guys, I appreciate y'all coming by. Y'all can stick around or whatever. I'm gonna quickly talk about.
What, he's kicking us off? You see how this is?
No. I would love for y'all to stay. I got some really cool shit that I'm gonna get into. And
I haven't seen you for a while, Lou. I need to roast you anyways.
Well, yeah, let's do it then.
Hey, I'm having a little gin.
Excellent.
So take over now. What are you going to do about it? I can't do anything. I don't have studio anymore. I have no power. Anyways, continue, Lou.
I'm going to definitely enjoy it. Well, hopefully.
How the hell did you? Oh, well, what happened to
start throwing these comments on the screen for
us. It's a long story. We'll have to talk about that one of these days.
So, so before I get back into the main story, which is Micheal Hastings, here, let me do it this way though, because I do like this. We'll make. Is that all right? All right, there we go. All right. I did want to quickly talk about vaccines. They're obviously in the news, and as just look at this as a brand new medical product coming out onto the market. We know the track records. Like it doesn't take a conspiracy.
Well, they're facing a lawsuit already because they found that it actually attacks the placenta of those females who take it.
Yeah, so there's some scientists out there right now that are trying to get them to stop the trials and to stop the verification until the companies do the proper
due diligence on what they're supposed to do when they release these things that they're not doing.
Right.
And they're releasing an mRNA vaccine.
And so quickly that's interesting you brought that up. So quickly that brings me into this is where in that World Economic Forum strategic intelligence AI, the thing that you can go and it has everything mapped out for you under United States, it clearly has corporate governance. And everybody's like, all right, well, what does that mean? Well, what that means is the government's going to say, hey, we can't mandate these things, but these private corporations, which we know is just legalized tyranny, it's monarchs hiding as this new thing for us.
It's not hiding anymore. That's exactly what they're doing. The corporations are coming out and they're determining our behavior.
Yeah,
they're manipulating our behavior. They're telling us that if we want to continue to consume, that we will do what they tell us to do.
Exactly. So now the monarchs of old are coming out, and because this is what they love. This is when they put their dick on the table. Sorry, I know this isn't a kid show, but this is when they go out there and they expose themselves and just say, "Hey, look at this, and this is what they're doing right now. This is what the corporations are doing. The corporations.
Jeez, that's like me and Facebook Messenger.
Corporations are mini monarchies. That's all they've ever been built to be. They just wanted to be legalized in a form of government that was represented by the people, supposedly. So now, with all that said, we're going to go into this little clip right here. And I want to show y'all this, because this is propaganda. And this is vaccine propaganda. These corporations, remember, they're just corporations. And now they're using these fucking politicians as PR stunts.
I feel like it needs a song with it.
As PR. Well, that's on my my YouTube clip, but but this one right here, this is the raw footage. Look, that is a capped vaccine.
To get the jab.
That is a capped vaccine. This is another one. This is more recent. Watch this up close. That's a pushing. You know those knives that you get where you put? That's what it is. She never squeezed a syringe, and the syringe juices never got any closer.
Look it's production. It's propaganda.
It's the production. It's all theater.
Goebbels would love this.
It's always the same. And this vaccine shit is dangerous because they want us to have it. It's
so don't do that. Let's not do that.
Listen, it's not just, the thing is, like, it's not just people taking a product to make their, make their libido come back, or it's not somebody taking a product to make their hair grow. This is a product that they want everybody else to take. This is
but we're not doing that. It's cool. Right. I mean, look at Thaddeus. Let's give him an ISO. Why wouldn't you give him an ISO? Look at him.
All right.
It's a very sick man.
Yes.
This is
Really
COVID.
sick.
This is COVID.
Yeah, this is what it's like.
Faces
It's
of
just,
COVID.
It's just annoying. It's just annoying. That's really what it is. It's funny, and like the symptoms just morph over time.
Yeah,
because of the nature of the virus and how the spike proteins can affect almost every organ. I've had headaches, fevers, chills, chest, weird other anomalies. And it's just because it just fucks all kinds of shit up.
You know, I know I have.
I'm not. It's like.
Well, hold on, guys. But
I'm not bad. I'm not
I'm
gonna die.
We'll derail you real quick. You calm down.
Okay, good.
No,
that's fine. Sorry about that. Anyway, I'm enough bitching about me. Let's get back to this.
Okay, so I want to draw the correlation between that type of PR stunt and this type of PR move, where they had this representative at the very beginning tell us that, hey, they're going to lie to us about all of the deaths that this is going to create. And yet nobody gives a shit.
In terms of the definition of people dying of COVID. So the case definition is very simplistic. It means at the time of death, it was a COVID positive diagnosis. So that means that if you were in hospice and had already been given, a few weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death. It means that even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that was the cause of the death, but they had COVID at the time of death. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, I wonder if that bitch has to watch a fucking tutorial to brush her fucking teeth. Sorry, that was a lot of fuck words.
I'm actually trying to curse less.
Sorry.
Please. Oh, motherfucker, please.
Okay. Let's not prove anything wrong here. Okay, so this is all propaganda. This is all PR, and it is all orchestrated, and it is all bullshit. And so my question to you two, is it worth reaching out to your friends and family at the level that I was in 2003, 2004, where, I was really emotional?
No, man. See, that's the thing. I'm done with reaching out, and I would suggest other people stop reaching out as well. Look, if you understand what's going on, the best thing you can do is lead by example at this point. Don't talk about it, be about it.
Interesting. I like it. So
I'm in agreement.
Here is another little bit of propaganda that's coming out right now. And now they're using kids.
What do you want to do when you're older, when you grow up?
I want to be a vet.
Do you?
Yeah.
Can you tell me why?
Because I like taking care of animals.
I felt like this was strong satire.
Could you give us an example of what you'd be like if you were a vet?
I wish. It's really not, though.
Why is that guy dressed as a furry?
Because Siobhan, who lives in Ireland, told me it wasn't.
To be tested for coronavirus.
She's not like the world expert on recognizing satire.
Only being tested. Was he reporting any symptoms?
No.
No symptoms.
Just,
this smells like satire to me so bad.
What are you going to do with Tony Tuberty for the test?
So first, we need to take a sample of all his known contacts. So he got into contact with 3 dogs in the last 14 days. So then that goes to the post office to be posted to the HSE.
This is satire.
Your children shouldn't know this. Anyway, that's right. You're dead. You're doing
all
right
theater.
Things. Tony would be delighted with you.
Politics.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
It's all theater.
What happens next?
And not everybody's like...
Everybody on TV.
Not everybody's working for him. No, they're not working for him. There's people on TV that'll figure clever ways to get the truth out.
And over here is the regurgitation station.
What's that?
Because when he gets the vaccine, he'll get sick.
Now we need to get...
Nobody can watch this and take this seriously.
People do.
Vaccine.
I know, but that doesn't mean that you should.
You're ahead of the game. So does he like...
He's not participating, so we're going to have to knock him out.
What in the is that?
That's exactly what I'm saying. This is satire. This is
he's
great.
still with us.
Okay, that's a good...
Yep, he's still with us.
He's still with us. Okay, this is great. This is the story of survival, isn't it?
Now he gets the Pfizer vaccine.
Bang.
Why Pfizer?
And
why do you think they're making fun of it?
It's all corporate governance.
Oh, my asshole, Lou. Come on. This is satire.
With the HSE.
Oh, I see. Okay, they love that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're going to isolate for 87 days. How many days on are you, Thad?
Oh, day 92? I don't know. 278 days to flatten the curve, bro.
See, maybe I just need to watch this stuff on Mondays and Tuesdays with y'all because, like, okay, I did see it be a little more funny, and maybe it was, but no, that is propaganda. And
that's satire.
In that way. No,
that's satire that they convinced the propaganda people that it was propaganda.
But
let's they're poking fun at the very nature of this whole circumstance. That's literally what they're doing.
I hear you.
And they're doing it with a kid, which is cute. Who's cute?
It's genius. It's genius.
It's actually pretty.
See, Lou, that's how you don't get banned from YouTube. Pay attention.
I hear you. So okay, so now let's get back. Okay, so now let's get back to the main story, which is Micheal Hastings, and I'm gonna run through this, and y'all probably missed this, but this guy was big in my eyes. He was like, it's when you think about these guys that really do take the risk, and they know the risk. These guys know the risks, and when they do that, you're talking about a Gary Webb who was killed for showing clearly that the LAPD and Arkansas government and the CIA and everything else was involved in running drugs and creating the epidemic of crack cocaine at the same time that they were also creating the epidemic of HIV and AIDS. This is all related to right now. You must go back and reanalyze these situations and not just recall. Because everybody talks about the butterfly effect or this other, whatever other effect that was, where you think of things differently than what it actually was. Go back and do it. Nobody's going to be able to get on a YouTube or get on a screen or tell you enough information. You must go back and just look at this shit. Go back and look at what's available. Go look back with these new perspectives. Go back and look at the old news stories. It's crazy. It's really crazy to watch. And
yeah, it's historically accurate. It's crazy to watch, but what the fuck can we do about it now?
I just really wish I could argue with Lou. This show would get a lot more interesting.
I mean, there's no arguing, right? It's just like, yeah, Lou, you're right. So what? because we're literally in that world.
I'm gonna work on that.
We're literally in that world. Okay. All right, cool. All right, well, I got my guns. You know what I'm saying? I got my food. I have my defensive firing position in my property down in Los Lunas. What's next?
It looks like
I still got to go to the bread lines. I still got to stand in the bread lines.
Hold on, guys. It looks like I forgot to play a clip. Let me see how long it is. It was for the monologue, and if it's too long, I might just.
What was it about?
Before you go to this, just do another ISO on the hopeless face of COVID.
I could be dead in a week.
I know. I'm immediately right now before I can feel bad about it.
So before I continue on with the main story about Micheal Hastings and introduce him and all that stuff, I did want to put this out there, and this is how the news used to cover those elections that I was talking about in the monologue about the 2004 and all of that. And everybody knew that these voting machines were wrong. And now these are Democratic elected officials and a CNN, which is mostly Democratic. This is them describing the situation when it was the foot on the other side. See how they just bounce the balls around. You got to learn to look through all this shit.
Election workers are scrambling all over the country trying to deal with an avalanche of last-minute problems with e-voting machines. With this information just pouring in, it's difficult to understand how the electorate can feel any sense of confidence in our upcoming election. Kitty Pilgrim reports.
Oh, you know what? This is the one that crashed my machine, so I don't even know if it finished.
The yellow button at the back of the Sequoia voting machine. Tens of thousands of machines used in 16 states and Washington, D.C. That button puts the machine in manual mode, so anyone can vote and repeatedly cast as many votes as they want. Activists say it's a major problem.
I worry about the poll captains having access. They're temporary workers. In many cases, there aren't background checks done on them, and it's easy for them to go back there, make those changes, and vote repeatedly and not be noticed.
Sequoia says this button is a...
Well, thank goodness Lou Dobbs was watching this.
The California Secretary of State says they have...
He was, him and Katie Pilgrim.
Oh, they're up on it.
Workers. close.
ACTJ just got a video taken down that was
it's too late.
Just video of one of the premier doctors in Canada calling out COVID as being
it's not too late for voters.
YouTube took it down.
About it.
Just got a notification.
We're here to train volunteers so that they can get out.
I think
there
it cut out on this one,
the
actually.
Process and document, shine a light on the problem that e-voting is causing in this country.
All sorts of electronic.
And remember, this is when Diebold owned them, which is the guys who still make the ATM machines.
County, Ohio, large print options didn't work properly, cutting off candidate names. And election officials struggled with other electronic snafus.
We just got notice from the Secretary of State's office today that some of our voting units will not be reflective of daylight savings time,
potentially causing the machines to close down early. Technicians from the voting companies are working to sort out the last-minute problems.
This is it goes on and on. So this actually goes on and on. But this is actually where my computer crashed on exporting that guy. So that it's going to end here in like a second. So I went ahead and ended it. But that's it. That actually reminded me. So I will actually redo that, re-export that, and just post it onto the YouTube so y'all can go look at it. But it's like I took it down from like a 15-minute news clip that day. And it pretty much goes through all the different things and all the things that we should be safeguarding. It tells you, and it talks about the Venezuelan dudes and how it talks about how they're just playing a shell game. There's like a Smartmatic bought them, but they're actually owned in the Netherlands. They're owned over here, and then this subsidiary over here actually owns the one that's invented. The one that's
well, and it's all tied in with Open Society and George Soros too. It's nice.
Exactly.
Everything's beautiful.
Everything's beautiful on that. So. I did want to touch on that because it's all part of this whole idea that the media is bullshit. And the people that
think about this. Just something that I keep thinking about, Lou, is in the original Civil War, when you look at the connections between, the South, their desire to secede and how this all worked out, how it was led by the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. The Jesuits obviously played a very big role in that. It's the same game. We're just doing it again. Mm-hmm. This time the rebels aren't, the racist Southerners. They're trying to frame it that way. But in reality, there's a coup going on in this country right now, and it's being led by communists that are funded by globalists. It's the same. It's the same.
And if you want to get down with it, man, this guy, the Corbett Report, he's been on this shit since forever. Anyways, and he's always been funded by the people, which I don't understand why people can't make this correlation when it comes to getting your news about corporations, is that if the corporations are paying for the news to be made wholeheartedly now, like you have to get news from people that are not being paid by corporations to get the real scoop on corporations. And the people that are doing that are risking their lives. And now we're about to talk about Micheal Hastings. This guy's going to introduce him.
But it is perhaps for a Rolling Stone article that he penned back in 2010 that he will be best known. In that article, The Runaway General, Hastings reported on some of the very incendiary statements of General Stanley McChrystal, statements that eventually got McChrystal dismissed.
Today I accepted General Stanley McChrystal's resignation as commander of the International Security Assistance Force in Afghanistan. I did so with considerable regret. The conduct represented in the recently published article does not meet the standard that should be set by a commanding general.
And you saw the
you know about commanding general.
Yeah, how would he even know how to address that?
Right. Well, it was
Thad, you ever gotten this urge to just slap somebody?
Every day I open up Twitter and I look at autistic libertarians and crazy leftists, and I'm just like, yeah. I'm just gonna go back into my fever. And that's what I do.
So y'all remember the Lafleur crash, right? The Stafford's crash, right? The explosion, the smoke everywhere. Okay, so now I got this. This is the crash. So this is just Micheal Hastings' crash. Let's look at this. Because basically what I'm going to assert here is that he had made a lot of enemies and he was killed And if you are not being threatened or discredited like that by
what are you doing?
System, you're not doing it.
Yeah, what are you doing with your life if you're not having your life threatened by these fucking pigs?
Where's the driver? Where's the driver? Is there anybody in there? What kind of car is that? Mercedes? Looks like it's a Mercedes.
What's this guy doing?
He's trying. He's Jewish. He didn't want his house to burn down.
That's still burning. Pretty good.
It doesn't sound like it.
Now, this part right here is my favorite part.
Did you hear it?
Oh, wait.
Did you see it?
The piece after this.
What you saw the crash, or you saw him going fast?
And I understand a little bit English.
Okay, what did you see?
But he coming like 20, 100, all the car. He coming fast, a lot of fast.
So did you see him hit the tree?
In the floor, they were not coming in the highland like that, in the floor.
But he does confirm that the car was actually in flames before it crashed into the tree. And in fact, the witness also confirms that although the car was
said it was
going
bouncing,
full
that's what he was trying to
by
say
the time he had crossed the intersection into the final stretch before hitting that tree, it suddenly accelerated and went completely out of control and then hit the tree.
This is
a lot of people were kicking around the idea that his car could have had control taken.
Yeah, I'm going to get into that. But wait, this is my favorite part. Look at that's his clean ass engine, and look how far away from the car it actually is. Now, what the fuck happened there? That's
nothing to see here, Lou.
Yeah, exactly. And the LAPD immediately ruled it that.
Yeah, that's fine. Everything's
immediately
fine.
ruled it that. And
Rolling
this is
Stone magazine
listen to
Micheal
this.
Hastings, a fearless journalist who
This is the
refused
local
to
news.
cozy up to power. His death at 33 came by way of a fire-fueled and explosive crash where Hancock Park meets Hollywood there at Highland and Melrose.
It sounded like a bomb went off in the middle of the night. My house.
This is not on the national news. I cut that.
Yeah, you can't get anything from national news.
Winner for magazine reporting, he was alone in what investigators say was a brand new Mercedes.
I couldn't have written a scene like this for a movie where the engine flies from the car, which was about, 50, 60 yards up, right down here to this telephone pole.
That from a longtime Hollywood producer Gary Grossman. Well, about 4:30 in the morning, his neighbor and a garden hose, and all they were up against.
So, wait, no. So it gets a little more interesting. So the story gets a little more interesting because everybody knew that he had enemies. But the national media immediately went on the front and was just like, this is this, just basically whitewashed the whole thing. And then 2 weeks later, they all of a sudden they got a toxicology thing, and then they said that he was high on drugs and also was drunk, which he was 10 years sober and he didn't do drugs. And this is where the story gets interesting, is because they whitewashed the whole thing. And then all of a sudden his friends start coming out saying, hey, no. He said he was on a big story and he had just texted me an hour before this accident happened. He had emailed me an hour before this accident. And that's when the story gets interesting. So immediately the people are coming out. So this is when the censorship back then it worked, is that it wasn't as corralled. So a lot of good information got out there. But now, why was this guy dangerous is the next question. So you saw the crash, and you know the story that everybody knows about. But this is why the man was here. This is why.
You know why he was dangerous. We all know why he was dangerous. We don't even have to ask these questions anymore. We know that there's a bunch of slime balls that run everything.
This guy.
And anytime anybody wants to actually talk about the fact that they're slime balls, they put their life in jeopardy. Sorry.
No, I hear you.
Ranted there.
No, I hear you.
The Newsweek that I knew has been totally decimated and destroyed after it was sold for $1 a couple of years ago. But when I was at Newsweek, when I started it, there were 26 foreign correspondents. They now have 2. So coming up in the media, I've kind of witnessed this kind of industry-wide change from a very kind of ground level.
What years were you at Newsweek?
2002 to 2008, and then in 2008 I covered the presidential election for Newsweek. That was and covered Hillary, Secretary Clinton, who was in Senator Clinton, and then dropped out and then quit Newsweek after she left because I kind of got sick of Newsweek. It's not even what the editor says. It's just these sort of legacy media companies have particular voices. And what I saw again and again was that the most interesting things that I was filing would end up on the cutting room floor, right? And sometimes it'd be details, say, about a death squad. Sometimes it'd be details about something else. But the stuff that I was most interested in never actually made it into the magazine. Here's a more kind of clear-cut example of that. Had I done that, so I did a big story about General Stanley McChrystal for Rolling Stone. That story would not have made it into Newsweek.
Now we're having a conversation.
They would have taken all my good stuff and they would have buried it in the story. It would not have. And I'll do a caveat. The Newsweek, as when John Meacham was editor, they would not have printed my story. I can guarantee you that.
Why do you think that is?
Political reasons, for reasons that there's a sense that at Newsweek we were supposed to kind of uphold, that we're supposed to sort of reinforce our societal myths, not deconstruct them and not kind of expose them. And so there was a real mission there. I think certainly under Meacham sucks. He's on my enemies list, one of the people I wanted to go on a rant on at some point this week, where they were not going to push the button. Like senior military officials, despite how they've lied to us for a number of wars, despite the Pentagon Papers, despite all from that kind of Newsweek mainstream perspective, we're going to be on this pedestal, and we would not have criticized them in that way. And I know this for a fact because you can actually go back and read Newsweek's profile of McChrystal, which was done by a really great reporter. A guy named, I don't want to get him in trouble, but they took this great reporter's stuff and they buried it, And so one of the reasons I actually knew that, there would be kind of an interesting story here was because when I read this,
you saw that look back. He's used to looking over his shoulder.
Came out, and I was like, wow, the reporter is trying to tell the truth here, and his editors are killing it. And if you have editors who are willing to kind of let that stuff free, let it go, then maybe there could be something.
I think there is a distinct.
But this is why he was truly hated, because he was on national TV.
Every general since 2001 has said we are either winning or have won.
Yeah, but it's RT, right?
No. He won all of them.
In
no, this is just them exposing a story better than the other ones. He gets into
troops, right?
Well, that's Russian propaganda. It all starts.
And everyone else, then Petraeus and every other general has followed him, said we're winning. When it's clear that's not the case. So one has to say, why are we giving the Pentagon so much credibility to make these statements? Why hasn't the Pentagon press corps stood up and said, or a member of it, and say, you've said in 2002, 2003, 2004 that we've won this war. You've said in 2006, 2007, 2008 that we've won this war. Why are you now saying we have to fight there for 10 more years? And that is literally what General McChrystal just said.
I think you laid. And what happened, it says, it demonstrated just how tenuous one's
13 more years.
Careers could flame out overnight. The political media class saw the story as a threat to their schmoozy relationship, their very existence and social life. If you can't get wasted with a journalist who's writing a profile of you and piss all over the president who appointed you, what's the world coming to?
Yeah, that didn't make me too many friends in the Washington, D.C.
But were you shocked by that response that you wrote? What was an honest account? You didn't try to protect McChrystal or the aides that surrounded him. And then you got really crazy.
Nobody else would do this story.
I was shocked that President Obama fired him. I think that was very significant. I did not realize how bad the relationship between the president and the Pentagon had been. And I think what that meant was this was President Obama reasserting his control over the Pentagon.
So, Micheal Hastings, in your BuzzFeed article, The Sins of General David Petraeus, you argue that Petraeus was a master of deception. Do you think he should have resigned?
I mean, I think there's many other reasons Petraeus should have resigned besides who he's sleeping with that's not his wife. But I just want to make a point here that the larger point that I've been making is that essentially the media has played a role in protecting David Petraeus and promoting David Petraeus and mythologizing David Petraeus. And we saw it here tonight. General Kimmett, who was a spokesperson in Baghdad, who was a roommate of Petraeus, who was involved in one of the biggest debacles in recent foreign policy history, is on TV, defending David Petraeus without actually addressing the real problems with David Petraeus' record. And those are the fact that he manipulated the White House into escalating to Afghanistan. He ran a campaign in Iraq that was brutally savage, included arming the worst of the worst, Shiite death squads, Sunni militiamen, and then
that's what we're dealing with today. Remember,
pause this.
Similar problems. So for
let me red pill y'all a little bit on why that is a terrible thing, but a necessary thing. Because it was a necessary thing. When you're fighting a counterinsurgency, it's ugly. This is what.
Remember, they lied us into war. We've been at war in the first place. So what you're about to justify means no fucking sense.
Shut up!
But go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. COVID.
God damn, man. I'm just trying to say, no one is saying or justifying the fact that it should have fucking happened. It shouldn't have fucking happened. What I'm saying is, insurgencies are fucking ugly. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Insurgencies are fucking ugly.
Get used to it.
Move on.
Wait.
All the while, he's going around the country talking about honor and integrity. So for me, the questions of honor and integrity, I was raising those earlier. A number of other journalists who were actually covering David Petraeus were raising those concerns. You might not get that from someone like Barbara Starr at CNN, who is essentially a spokesperson for the Pentagon in many ways. So I think I just want to step back and to have my piece because just even the way the scandal is being covered is so different than how usual sex scandals are being covered, where they hammer the guy mercilessly. Now everyone's saying, oh my God, he was he just went to the CIA. How could he be, he was susceptible to being seduced by this woman. Give me a break. Petraeus now has all his allies coming out to defend him, where Paula Broadwell is there yet again. Where
that's
her
Pierce trying to.
Okay, well, but Barbara's not a spokesperson for him, obviously. But let's move to Lieutenant Colonel.
Not too obviously. I followed her coverage pretty closely, as she's covered my work before too.
Well, just because she's written naughty things about you doesn't make her a spokesperson.
No, what makes her a spokesperson?
Well, I mean, she was sleeping with him.
Without question, a lot of Pentagon claims.
I mean, but no, it's not only complex.
Hold on, you stepped on his. Stepped on his.
That look, the two key things that I took away from that speech is that Obama has enshrined the two most radical principles of the Bush doctrine. The first is, he got rid of torture and sort of got rid of extraordinary rendition, but enshrined targeted assassination. At the same time, he doesn't apologize for he won't apologize for the scandal in Benghazi.
He didn't care about
apologize for the IRS,
whether they were Democratic
and he says
or
no, the
Republican.
AP and spying on journalists is okay. So he enshrines killing people and spying on journalists as the two major tenets of his national security state.
Yeah, he was huge. That's why he got killed.
I don't agree with what Michael said. I'm just to be blunt about it.
Well, I read your piece. It was essentially, talking
like
point stenography. And I mean, look, I dig your work and I've read it in the past.
He called his work stenography.
I was not impressed
on
with
air.
The piece that we were sent around by the producer.
Well, let's let Perry explain what he said before we say we're not impressed with it. Let's hear it.
Well, I could say it. I read it.
So the thing is like he was a badass, and that's why he was dangerous. And the thing is, like, I had given up on watching TV, so I kind of missed him. But when he did die like that, he was brought to my attention by the conspiracy people back in 2013. And I just think a lot of things that have happened since then, I think that is a story that we can revisit. And then people can take some actual value where they're like, oh, shit.
No,
Glenn Greenwald should be careful.
Is if you care about this, really, just get out there and do something that'll get you killed. Otherwise, what?
So Glenn Greenwald should probably not drive for a while.
No, maybe he's in on.
No, why are you turning on Glenn all of a sudden? This guy sounds exactly like Glenn Greenwald.
I don't trust any of them. I don't trust Glenn Greenwald. I would not have trusted Micheal Hastings.
Then you are living a very sad existence, my friend. If you can't trust anyone.
No. I can trust some people. I trust James Corbett. I trust the people around me.
Why would not? How do you know he's not controlled opposition?
Yeah.
If we're gonna go down that rabbit hole.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
I go and verify. I trust but verify. So I have people that I like to trust, but I go and verify the shit. So I mean, I don't understand what see, again, these are different paradigms that we're in. We don't need to discuss the minutia of it either. Like all I'm saying is
what we need to do is be supporting our local businesses as they
and contact
fight back against
tell them
this
to
crap.
open. Tell them to open up.
And we need to be good Americans and tell the government to fuck off at every corner we can.
Well, we're trying, but people are scared.
Right.
People don't want their livelihoods destroyed.
Scared anymore. So
well, this is true, right? But that's easier said than done. Let's have some reality here for a second, ladies and gentlemen, and anyone who happens to be listening. These people have put a lot on the line. They're not going to sit here and just be like, well, I'm going to be a rebel and I'm going to throw everything that I've thrown my heart and soul into. I've bribed, I've stolen, I've stabbed, I've murdered, I've done whatever I've needed to do. I've sacrificed everything I could possibly do to do this one thing. I just have to hold on a little bit longer. I can't lose it all to principles, because principles don't feed my family. See, this is why they have us by the short hairs, because people have a lot to lose. And this goes back to my little rant about insurgencies. This gets ugly very quickly when people start going hungry. People are just trying to hold on to what little they have. Be it they believe that this election is stolen, or they believe that Joe Biden brain bleed is going to save their lives. I am surrounded by people, and people don't like using this analogy anymore, but I don't give a shit. They're surrounded by people with blue pills. All I have to do is talk to a normal person on the street, and they are lost.
That's true.
They are lost. And they just want to hold on long enough so they can get back to normal. What they don't understand is that they're never going to get back to normal. Because even if somehow, some way, this runs its course and everyone's herd immune, and those who are the plebs get the vaccine, and those who are, who have survived at the other end of this can now go and do what they want to do, the psychological damage that has been done and what you have shown your masters is that you will bend the knee. And that is generationally destructive. I'm not saying that it's lost. I'm just saying it's time for a tactical retreat. Because there's nothing to be said, right? I'm sitting here like, man, this is real deep.
Man, I'm on the other end of that. I think that's why you go hard right now.
See, what is it? What is the? Let me see here. I'm a parent. I don't have the luxury of principles. And so, so that's fine. Do what you got to do, and I will hide you as part of the resistance. I will help. I will hide your weapons caches.
Yeah,
I will do what I can.
Extra rations, dude. Do it like that. Do
No. I wasn't saying all that. I would never, ever.
You can help us skip the line in the. Listen, Dad can help us skip the line in the vaccine vaccine internment camps. This is nice. Do you think, Brad?
I'm not going to the vaccine internment camp.
Just don't forget that we do have laws written in place for this stuff. That's all I'm trying to show you. Is that
there's actually one on. There's actually a public health order in New Mexico. Actually, there is actually a provision within it.
This one right here is definitely interesting, where it's deprivation of rights and the color of law. And I think people need to realize that these things that they're doing are called statutes, ordinances, or regulations. This is the color of law, and it says whoever sentenced to death. Whoever, in the very last words, may be sentenced to death to do all of this shit to us, which is what they are technically doing in the LA County and all places like this. This is the type of shit that we can rally behind.
This is true, and hopefully everybody heeds that warning, because that's where the fight is, right? I think there's a lot of air being taken out of the room with this stop the steal thing. This is silly.
It is silly. I'd have
because
you're doing it.
Your state is doing way more damage than an election that you'll probably win in another 24 months.
The thing is here it is that, okay, what it has done, it has awakened a lot of people that would not normally have been awakened to any kind of corruption. So now the fact that they are even entertaining it is the time for people to have a full, firm understanding of what actually is going on so that they can make them feel comfortable about what's going on and what needs to take place. And I think right now the bombardment of information, which is what my show started off with on the very intro, was the difference between Orwell and Huxley, and where Orwell's like, hey, I'm scared that they're going to hide the truth from us. And Huxley, who's earlier and has a closer ear to the family, said, no. They're just going to bombard you with so much information, and they're going to make your culture tedious and trivial. That's what he said. And that's where we're at.
The amount of censorship that we're living under right now, as we sit here and we think we can view the world through the lens of our smartphones,
it's like
necessitates getting out in large groups with other Americans and discussing what's going on.
Exactly.
You cannot be dependent upon the very technology that's being used to enslave you. I'm going to go get some firewood. Love you guys.
Love you too, man.
That was deep.
Thaddeus, do you want
I don't have anything else.
Well, I appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah. A lot has been said. Yeah, a lot has been said. And yeah, man, you're right. It's the dark winter. And it's funny, you're right, we've had truth sayers spouting this stuff for a very long time. You were talking about Gary Webb and stuff like that, and I forgot about this Haskins guy. I forgot that he wrote. I mean, have you ever seen War Machine, that Netflix movie?
Maybe.
That was based off of that article. That Rolling Stones article.
Interesting. No,
it's actually very hilarious.
That's interesting.
Like Brad Pitt was in it, stuff like that. No, it actually got turned into. They took his Rolling Stones article and McChrystal's memoirs or whatever, and they created like this drama / comedy about General McChrystal and his merry band of people who followed him in Afghanistan while this was all falling apart and stuff. It's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, well, I'm going to now get into the more conspiratorial side of the Hastings things. If you want to stick around, be my guest.
Nah, I'm fading right now. So. It's fun as always, Lou. And send me some good clips. What you're about to put down, because I always find them fascinating.
I will. I'll always on Mondays. I usually upload a lot of the full on clips so people can share them.
Are you going to put them on ACT?
I can get 100 subscribers one of these days and be able to use my name. They say.
Okay. You still need to pump that up. Okay, so we're gonna have to do that. Okay.
Yeah, but anyways, I'm going to continue on about Hastings. So
all right, man.
Do appreciate it.
Oh man, it's always fun to yell and scream at you, Lou.
I play ball, son. I tried to tell everybody on the comments. Let's talk about this shit, man. I could be wrong. I'm not saying just listen.
I think you're right more than you're wrong, bro. Don't worry.
Anyways, man, I love you so.
All right, I love you too, bro.
I'll see you soon. And with that, I am now officially high, but we can continue the conversation about Micheal Hastings. So now this is let me check my notes here. So this is after the story unfolded and the media went on their little blitz on how to handle Micheal Hastings because he was a pretty known deal. And again, this happened during Obama's watch. This is 2013, so like. This is like they could have given him that access to get General McChrystal out of there, because you never know. And then, once he did that and exposed this McChrystal, he was, let go of, and it was changed, and everybody was cool with it. He could have become expendable. And the fact that they waited till he was age 33 conspiracy people love that shit, so we'll throw that out there. He did die at 33, and they waited. 2013 is when he died. And supposedly he was going to be breaking a bigger story that would have, probably exposed the Obama administration. So, with that said, it is what it is. Let's check this out.
Well, now we're finding out some new things about what happened with Michael. Now, we yesterday told you about, of course, how he passed away at 4:30 in the morning in L.A. in a single car crash. It was a very fiery crash, and the engine was thrown about, some say 50 feet, some say far bigger distance than that. Interesting tweet that just came out a little before the show from WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks says Micheal Hastings contacted WikiLeaks lawyer Jennifer Robinson just a few hours before he died, saying that the FBI was investigating him. Now, that's interesting, of course, on a couple of different fronts. Number one, I have no idea if that's true or not true in terms of whether WikiLeaks is accurate about that or if Michael was accurate about that. I do know that Michael was concerned about government surveillance. He said it on this show all the time. He also said it off air. And then I went back and found the last article that Michael had written for BuzzFeed, and it says, why Democrats love to spy on Americans. It makes a very good point about President Obama, as he has done on this show many times, talking about how President Obama had what he called a war on journalism. And I realized towards the end of the article that he had talked about how the Obama administration and its allies, the FBI and Department of Justice, had viciously attacked reporters and anyone else that they viewed to be a threat. And you can interpret it for yourself. You can read it for yourself, and you should. It's a fascinating article.
Last week, Hastings was killed in a high-speed one-car crash. Immediately, his friends started raising questions about whether this was really an accident, as police quickly ruled. Then yesterday, we learned that hours before his death, Hastings sent a cryptic email to his friends and associates saying that the feds were investigating him and that he was on to a big story. Sergeant Joe Biggs is one of the friends who received that chilling email, and he joins us live. And people who are close to Mr. Hastings are still raising questions about the LAPD and their conclusions that this was an accident. What is the alternate theory, that he was murdered, that he was intentionally targeted by someone?
I don't know that. I just know that from the email to hours later dying, it's just not a coincidence like that. Things don't add up. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. I contacted by email Mercedes today, asked them if it's normal for their cars to blow up to that extent, for if the engines fly out on a normal basis. I mean, these are the real questions we need to ask.
Okay. Well, what was he investigating, as far as you know, that would have caused any consternation whatsoever by someone?
CIA, but from what he said, or his last, one of the things he said is it was going to be the biggest story yet.
To me, that's pretty interesting that he named the CIA. Because to me, I think they are the biggest subverters around the world. Them, the Mossad, the KGB, the German SS, like all of these secret services. If they're all working together with the Asian secret services and we don't know it, we would never know it. And they could just be making life happen as the social engineers want, as they pick and choose, supposedly in CIA, like the Doors and all these bands were influenced with the drugs and all that stuff came from them. Everything. They engineered everything. And the people that made that shit happen was the CIA. And this guy was an intelligent human, and he could have really was trying to figure it all out and really was onto something. And at that point, they already had the, hey, we're paying attention, everybody. This guy's going to say something. Let's kill him. And they can. And that's scary. And that's what JFK talked about. This type of stuff we need to be having conversations right now, because this stuff is the stuff that needs to be readdressed. We need to say, hey, is it viable for us to continue to have a secret service that has this much ability to kill us and not ever it be exposed? I just think I think his death may have been a little more important than we can think of. And I do have that song from Yamin. It's a new song of his with his group Clandestine coming up. But before that, I wanted to play one more little clip about the possibility of it even happening, of them taking control of his car.
I think it would definitely serve our interest to take a look at the idea of car sabotage and how that can be accomplished electronically in this very electronic era. And to do that, let's turn to an article that appeared in the New York Times back in March of 2011 under the headline, "Researchers Show How a Car's Electronics Can Be Taken Over Remotely." Quote, "With a modest amount of expertise, computer hackers could gain remote access to someone's car, just as they do to people's personal computers, and take over the vehicle's basic functions, including control of its engine, according to a report by computer scientists from the University of California, San Diego, and the University of Washington. Although no such takeovers have been reported in the real world, the scientists were able to do exactly this in an experiment conducted on a car they bought for the purpose of trying to hack it. Their report, delivered last Friday to the National Academy of Sciences Transportation Research Board, described how such unauthorized intrusions could theoretically take place. Because many of today's cars contain cellular connections and Bluetooth wireless technology, it is possible for a hacker working from a remote location to take control of various features, like the car locks and brakes, as well as to track the vehicle location, eavesdrop on its cabin, and steal vehicle data, the researcher said. They described a range of potential compromises of car security and safety. End quote. But for those of you who are incredulous at those well-known conspiracy theorists of the University of California, San Diego, and the University of Washington and their conspiracy research, well, don't take their word for it. Take DARPA's.
Good afternoon. Right, so we've been hearing a lot today about the importance of improving computer security. As Dan just alluded to, though, it's not just traditional computers that we need to worry about. There are many other kinds of systems as well. The slide that's been omitted showed a result of the researchers at UCSD and the University of Washington hacking into the dashboard display of a typical American sedan, making it show that the car was going 140 miles an hour while in park. Drilling down a little bit, modern vehicles consist of between 30 and 100 embedded control units, which are essentially small computers connected via CAN bus. These cars are required by law to have a diagnostic port, typically located under the steering wheel, that allows mechanics to download diagnostic information and to perform software updates. In a first paper, the researchers from UCSD and the University of Washington showed that if they could touch the CAN bus through that diagnostic port, they could take over all of the functionality of the car that's controlled by software. And in a modern automobile, that's pretty much everything. The brakes are controlled by software because of anti-lock braking. The acceleration is controlled by software because of cruise control. And in those fancy new cars that can park themselves, even the steering is under software control. The reaction to this first paper was somewhat muted, perhaps because if the researchers had access to that diagnostic port, they were inside the car, and so already had physical access to the brakes, acceleration, and steering. They responded with a second paper in which they showed a variety of ways of touching that CAN bus without physically touching the car. These attacks involved infecting the computers in the repair shop and then having that infection spread to the car through the diagnostic port, or hacking in through the Bluetooth system, or using the cell phone network to break in through the telematics unit that's normally used to provide roadside assistance. The most ingenious attack, though, used the stereo system in the car. The researchers were able to craft an electronic version of a song that played just fine in your home stereo system or on your personal computer. But when you put that on a CD and played it in the car CD player, it took over total control of your automobile. Yeah, right. Pretty scary, huh?
And if DARPA's word for it isn't convincing enough, we can also get Richard Clarke's word for this. Was Micheal Hastings' car hacked? Richard Clarke says it's possible. Quote, "The peculiar circumstances of journalist Micheal Hastings' death in Los Angeles last week have unleashed a wave of conspiracy theories. Now there's another theory to contribute to the paranoia. According to a prominent security analyst, technology exists that could have allowed someone to hack his car. Former U.S. National Coordinator for Security, Infrastructure Protection, and Counterterrorism Richard Clarke told the Huffington Post that what is known about the single-vehicle crash is consistent with a car cyber attack. Clarke said, there is reason to believe that intelligence agencies for major powers, including the United States, know how to remotely seize control of a car. What has been revealed as a result of some research at universities is that it's relatively easy to hack your way into the control system of a car and to do such things as cause acceleration when the driver doesn't want acceleration, to throw on the brakes when the driver doesn't want the brakes, to launch an airbag. Clark told the Huffington Post, "You can do some really highly destructive things now through hacking a car, and it's not that hard." So if there were a cyber attack on the car, and I'm not saying there was, Clark added, I think whoever did it would probably get away with it. I'm not a conspiracy guy. In fact, I've spent most of my life knocking down conspiracy theories, said Clark, who ran afoul of the second Bush administration when he criticized the decision to invade Iraq after 9/11. But my rule has always been, you don't knock down a conspiracy theory until you can prove it wrong. And in the case of Micheal Hastings, what evidence is available publicly is consistent with a car cyber attack. And the problem with that is, you can't prove it. End quote. Micheal Hastings' car was speeding, had drunk driving history, which goes into some very spurious details of Micheal Hastings' past and attempts to use that to smear him and basically make this seem like it was just another drunk driving accident. Or you could turn to something like HollywoodReporter.com that had their own article on that subject on the 20th of June.
Always been about
Experts
propaganda.
on Micheal Hastings' crash. No reason to suspect foul play.
And that has a huge impact on how just the regular people see the world. They pick it up here and there, and that's it. They don't delve deep. But if you're here watching it with me, you're digging deep. Let's start giving it in little small pieces to the people that we love. Let's try to make sense of it in your own lives, like for real. And I agree with Thaddeus, and I don't judge anybody if you want to just try to ride the coattails or whatever and not get killed or whatever. I don't know. It's gonna be some crazy decisions you're gonna have to make. I get it, and I don't begrudge anybody to make any decisions. Whatever they have to do. But I got Yamin, from the previous show. He and his boys got together. They did a song. I caught it in the winds, and so I threw it up against some stuff, and I got it. I think it's a pretty dope song. Had some interesting points to make in it, so it's definitely worth a listen. And guys, I tell you all the time, I end it all the time. It's it's not a conspiracy theory; it's a conspiracy. And corporations are legalized monarchies, and corporate foundations and institutions and sponsorships have all had a profound effect on our dialogue and our discord with our loved ones and in all our conversations. So dig into it, try to make sense of it, try to be able to to articulate it out to your peoples. It's important, and everything that Sean and Thaddeus was saying about having some action behind it, I agree with that shit too. And everybody's got a role to play in this. Just make sure who's storing the seeds. Make sure you're ready to come do some work. Do about 20 push-ups a day. Take the time to do some yoga. Prepare yourself mentally, mind, body, soul, all that stuff. I've stopped drinking. I'll say that. I think this whole year was rough on me, and I was drinking. I thought doing pretty good, but I probably should consider that as an obstacle myself. So I've cut it out, and but you're willing to do whatever you got to do, and anyways, that's the show. Just show love to the sponsor, Flickwick, shop.flickwick.com. They make good little Christmas presents, small shipping to small packaging. But if you find an error in the show or something that in dispute, let me know. And if I don't contend it, I will give you a free Flickwick, and we are the underdog. So don't forget to show love to all the affiliated pages on the TMI roster. And we're going to definitely have a new year, new lineup, and try to approach things a little more better, I guess. I don't know. Always try to make it better. Anyways, take care and good night. And here is that track.
The police was basically being used as an occupying army as far as in relationship to harassing the young people like they do today. That hasn't changed, and we wanted to see the killing in our community stop.
Caucasians telling people how to riot, but when the reasons for it happened, they would keep it quiet. And when Kaepernick was kneeling, they were out of sorts. They prefer black folks on the field playing sports. Before this, it was in the fields of the plan. What? During the birth of our eternal damnation, and those sons inherited the sins of the father. They report to a white God, so why bother? Preach, trying for a common ground where we can all meet when they ain't even heard of the burning of Black Wall Street. Your research, all this heat's a complete surprise. The supremacists clinging to a discreet disguise with the weak commander-in-chief that lies. Why you think it's police that the people in the streets despise? We fighting for the white elite's demise. Cause when you sow hate, what you reap are these deep divides.
Yeah. Who really wants peace? Who gon' pick up a piece and police the police? Who really ready to die for their beliefs? Which one of these white friends gonna use their voice to reach their community? Their social contracts hard to breach. It's hard to sleep, I'm counting too many sheep. Seen folks stand by as a man is getting beat. Recorded on the phone, but they never intervene. Don't get me wrong, it's hell to pay to get in between a dirty cop and his target. They know how to clean up the scene, and they write their own report to make your only resort to get justice is go through them. Here we go again. What's the remedy? People talk about a vaccine, but I guess this hate ain't worth extracting. Murder rate's not relaxing. It's a bunch of cold-blooded killers. Easy to take a life if you don't value a nigga. Easy to pay the price to leave your house while a nigga. Never knowing if a pig just gonna take out another nigga with no consequence. Talking heads might make it politics. That's why I don't vote. Can never spot where honest is. And all my contributions to this scare. Keep rich men fair to keep the poor man down where I'll be. Let me tell you something about me. I'm no genius, but ain't gotta be to know I'm not free.
D112, we don't need more cops, so just let the courts rise. I don't need pork chops. They call it the curse of Hannah, but that's the words of man, not the many y'all. So when my son is Shemini, prove me wrong, you get the keys to Jerusalem. They fucked up when they let us read the Deuteron. We get freedom, they word, we gon' do them wrong. So they killing children, they choking niggas, and shooting moms. How you interject reason between the fight or flight of a race soldier that's hated you his entire life? I can't answer that, nobody asked for my advice, but when it really matters, I'm sure that we'll all decide to fight. The stage is being set, they just working on the boxing ring. Instead we got Donald Trump in place of a Donald King. Only in America, Armageddon's promoted by pedophiles, provoking the wrath of the birds who spoke in the soil, claiming the filth, but the holy stay in the open is science. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't holy. Made from divine motives, so the life I live is golden. Maybe that's why this Karen think what I'm wearing is stolen.
Sheriff's Department as well as the City Police Department. And they both was harassing, intimidating, and murdering our people in the black community. It did go to a point to where people just had to respond to it. It was enough. It was enough.